It's showtime, a-holes. Time to strap yourself in and brace yourself for Muscle Asylum TV and radio.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Muscle Asylum TV/radio. Today we are joined by self-appointed nickname Stick Legs Scott Goble, and obviously we've got Mick Galley and Jimmy here standing 1.5 metres away from me in the background, and we are joined by our newest Australian IFBB bodybuilding pro in Christian Hot Chocolate Big Sexy Caldwell. What's happening, boys?
Not a lot, to be honest, with this, this day and age we're living in, which is really weird. Considering, that weekend that I turned pro, with like 12 hours later, everything just came crashing down. So really surreal.
We'll try not to talk about too much of the whole lockdown thing, because I think our latest episodes, that's all we've really spoken about, and it's just it's just a fucking downer. So let's try and pretend like we're not even in a lockdown. Yeah. We can.
I actually don't feel I am. I know Scotty's lapping it up. He's loving it.
Well, he's forced.
I love lockdown, but if you want to feel like we're not in a lockdown, go to Bunnings. I had to go to Bunnings yesterday, and man, it's pumping there. The car park was full. It's teeming with people. If you want to have a good time, go to Bunnings. It's like a nightclub atmosphere.
Are they forcing people to line up?
Hey?
Are they forcing people to line up at Bunnings?
No, I don't know. They are only allowed 4 per aisle, but they didn't police it, so there was about 20 per aisle.
It's like Woolworths. You got a queue to get in.
Yeah.
Decent queue.
Yeah, no, I went to Coles the other night. It was the same thing. I wanted a good time. I just want to quickly say congratulations to Scott for the birth of your new baby. I did stalk Instagram to check the name, and then you told me the name of the baby before I actually got to my Instagram, and I completely forgot what the name is. Was it Ava?
Little Ava.
That's it, Ava.
Yeah, little Ava. Yeah.
Congratulations, mate. How's it feel being in a house full of females?
Yeah, look, the newborn doesn't really bring much to the table. I know you've got one, and you're probably totally enamoured with yours. But now that I've got a 2-year-old and a newborn, I don't know, the newborn, take it or leave it. It's not bringing much. It's all take and no give. It's not as fun as I thought it would be. I'm not going to lie. I know things are going to obviously get better when it starts to develop a bit of a personality and recognise you. But every time I look at him and he smiles at me, I just think straight away he just wants milk. He just wants the boob. He doesn't want me. He doesn't give a fuck. It's all about mum the first 12 months. But, it's all good. It's good.
Let's talk to you, Christian. So obviously, for people that don't know, we've got Scott on here because Scott is Christian's coach.
Yes.
And he did coach him to his IFBB, his pro qualifying title. Tell us a little bit about your prep leading into the show, and was it your goal to obviously win your pro card, or was it just Yeah,
it definitely was, but I didn't really voice it. It's been my vision for 2 years. Actually, when I first hooked up with Scott, it would be 2 years ago now. I chatted with him immediately after I stepped off the stage, within a couple of days of stepping off the stage of the Arnolds. It was the first time I was in the super heavyweight category. I came third. Actually, Sadiq came second, and an Iranian came first. And I knew then I needed help because I botched that peak week. I botched it. I ran a diuretic, and it just completely screwed me. I was actually backstage, and I had the guys backstage giving me heaps of fluids because I was cramping. I was in a world of hurt, and not to mention how flat I felt by comparison to what I looked like 2 days earlier. So I really botched it, and I knew I was sort of overreaching my knowledge base. I needed help, and Scott's been on my radar for many years prior to that anyway, so he was my first choice, naturally.
This is a good notch on the belt, Scott. So this is, I think, your first amateur athlete to win their pro card, correct me if I'm wrong. But
first bodybuilder. I've had a physique guy turn pro and BFF girls turn pro and things like that. But yeah, first bodybuilder, which is a huge feather in the cap. I'm very excited. I might get to train, someone other than physique and bikini competitors now.
Well, you do have a few pros under your belt, and you've got a few ugly ones in your bikini category, bikini division. I don't know how you cope because it must be a hard job coaching those girls.
You've coached a few bikini girls in your time, Gretchy, so it becomes you become completely immune to it. The main side effect of coaching bikini girls I found is when I went out on a bucks night and we went to the strippers and I was looking at all the girls on stage and I was like, do they even train glutes? Look at that chick. She's got cellulite. Like, I was literally looking at them all just disgusted from what I saw. So they've essentially ruined me for other women. That's about all they've done. Driven me crazy and ruined me for other women.
I got worried then. I thought you were going to say you saw a couple of your clients on the stage dancing on the pole.
I did actually see one client there. Yeah. A little awkward.
Let's talk a little bit about your prep. So how, and I don't want to make this all about Scott because he's got a big head enough as it is, but how has working with Scott made it so much different, and how obviously talk about your prep leading up into this comp.
Well, should we go back to when Scott first worked with me for the Nationals 18 months earlier, because that was when we first got to know each other, and it was a pretty good prep. Just didn't quite get it right I think more from my end than from his. I just struggled with sleep and systemic stress. I've always been about training really hard, and I tried to stay as strong as I possibly could all the way through to the final week of the prep, which really undid me because I was unable to sleep, and it threw me off. I was holding a lot of water, I think. Would you agree, Scott? National?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's people that stress their bodies, but a lot of people don't have the mental fortitude to really, really push their bodies and stress themselves completely out to the point where they're total insomniacs and, you know, their body's completely freaking out. Like, I mean, present company excluded. It's rare that you come across those people, but Christian is mentally strong enough to completely and utterly destroy himself in the gym and destroy himself with cardio and just keep going and do all these things. And there does come a point where more is not better, and we reached that point, and we knew it was the issue because, like, when you say, you know, bad sleep, like, man, just horrendous sleep, like 2 hours of broken sleep a night, you know, like trying to, you know, starting with natural sleeping aids, moving on to pharmaceutical sleeping aids, nothing working. Like, his body was just completely freaking out, and I mean, that's going to influence everything, you know, the fat loss, inflammation, fluid retention, the work. So that was obviously the issue from the first prep. We felt like we got a lot right, but we had this big problem looming over our heads that needed to be resolved if we was going to take it to the next step. And we had that confirmed when we went to a Dean McKillop seminar as well, and we had a chat to Dean. We're like, what do we do about this guy's stress and all that? And we sort of all broke it down in a little round table discussion, and Dean was like, man, it's just systemic stress. You just need to control it. So that's what we tried to do for the second prep, and he slept a lot better and performed a lot better and looked a lot better. Yeah.
What did you do?
I literally stopped lifting heavy, like ridiculously heavy. I stopped training as hard as I could.
How far out did you stop training as hard as you could?
Probably 8 weeks. Yeah, that's when it sort of tipped over the precipice for me last time. So I remember performing a 300 dead for you, Scott.
Yes,
that was it. And then from then on, I backed right off. I just needed that little feather in the cap as well.
Did you back off in terms of switching from free weights to machines, or not going to failure or rep range, or what?
Good question. More just top end loads, so heavy loads. I kept machines in. I've always worked with machines towards the tail end of my sessions anyway. But I certainly didn't back off on any of the free weight stuff. I just reduced overall volume moved in the session. And I would have dialed back on the top loads by 15%, maybe even 20%. And in the last weeks, I felt I'd never trained like that before. It didn't feel like training, but my body kept progressing and it kept looking better and better, and I just embraced it. And as I said to Scott, you know, it was awesome for me for once to exercise a little bit of this and remove the ego, just a little bit of intelligence, and it made all the difference. So I think that was the biggest factor in me getting as lean as I did this time was just backing off on the hard training because I was able to sleep.
I'm surprised hearing that because Mark's trained like that his whole career and he hasn't progressed once.
It makes it so much worse when he's actually here right next to me. Like, I just can't.
It's weird that he's right behind us.
If he comes an elbow to the head at one stage.
But when saying that, I mean, Christian is still training harder than most people. You know, like there's only that. You come across that rare handful of people who will just completely destroy themselves with no regard to health or safety. Christian's one of those guys. So he's still training harder than most people train. Most competitors train, you know, like a lot of people have never trained as hard as Christian's trained when he's backing off. So it's not like he's doing the fluffy little band and dumbbell workouts that I do in my garage in the mornings nowadays. He's still training hard. He's just not going for PBs every single session.
Yeah, and that's basically, I stopped hitting, aiming for those PBs. That was really drummed into me. Sorry, Jimmy.
That's right, mate. Would you tell him, Scotty, to back off when you saw him like week to week, day to day? Or is it more Christian taking it about himself to pull back on his own accord?
Look, we discussed it in the first prep. I'd sort of encouraged him to pull back a little bit, tell him he didn't have to be doing all these PBs and, but he just had to do them because that's the way he was wired up until that point. And when you think about it, when you've got that far and you've made that much progression from training this particular way, it's hard to let go of it. Right. So I think it was just, it just became clear in both our minds that we had to reduce the stress from some areas. And the other way we did it is we relied a lot less on, climbing stairs. He wasn't pounding 45 minutes an hour of stairs every day as he was in the previous prep in order to drop into a deficit. And he was doing a lot more just low intensity, accumulating steps and things like that as well. So I think it was the combination of those two things just took the stress down on his body. But he did handle the training mostly himself, yeah.
So if he wasn't burning calories doing what he would normally do with his cardio, was his calorie intake considerably lower than what it was the prep before?
Well,
that's a good question.
I don't remember that it was it, Christian? But he was still burning the calories. He just wasn't burning them in such an intense fashion. Yeah, like he was just doing the steps. Now, I don't know if you guys are into the steps. I don't think some of you are. I think I saw a post by Jimmy saying that if you're doing steps, you're sort of lazy or whatever. But I think it's steps in combination with cardio.
He counts steps. When he was walking in here, I heard him counting in his head.
I've only changed since the gym shut because I was before the gym shut. I was doing 25,000 steps a day. And
whoa. Yeah, whoa, certifiably crazy.
But that wasn't by choice. I was just on my feet. Yeah, and then when the gym shut, I got unemployed, and 2 weeks I put on 12 kilo, and I swear to God, all I changed was I wasn't going to work. So I'm a step believer now.
I can guarantee that's not all he changed.
It's a really good point he just made. See the difference that he felt or noticed just by noticing the difference in activity. It's activity, not exercise activity.
Yeah.
I don't consider walking cardio. That is not cardio. That is just being an active human being. And that's all I focused on doing, which was extraordinarily low in intensity. It's like Scott actually made the analogy, it's like batting your eyelids, It's using fuel, but it's such low intensity that you're not going to harm your muscle stores. You're not going to, it's just, there's no stress there. I was just ambling around.
Watch how many people are going to start counting blinks now for energy expenditure. With this training method, is that going to change the way you're going to train in your off season now? Or are you going to go straight back to lifting heavy for a period of time?
There will be a point where we ramp it up, I think. Yes.
But in your off season,
for sure.
do you struggle to sleep?
No, not at all. No, not at all. Actually, no. Wait, let me just recall last off season when I was 125 or 6 when I was maxing out at 6,000 calories 4 days a week, Scott. Yeah, I was, sleep apnea was a huge thing.
Sleep,
big problem. Yeah, I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
It was bad, yeah.
What was your weight on stage, Christian?
Morning weight, when I sent Scott those videos at like 3 a.m. on the day, about 106 flat, 106.5 maybe.
Yeah. Is that at the Arnold's?
At both, actually. I think we were pretty much the same weight at both, but tighter a week later.
Yeah.
Which just happened from getting down to 105 somewhere in the middle of that week between the two shows. That was a real. I knew I was onto something good then.
Yeah. Were you keeping an eye on the? I mean, we had a couple of other guys like the super heavyweights, Mike in Queensland, and then you had Sadiq, who was pretty impressive as well, New South Wales. Did you have your eye on those guys as well, or you
Not
just
at
stuck
all.
to your? No.
This something I'd like to share with you guys now is just my vision. I was the only person on stage both shows. I don't mean to sound egotistical, but it was just my mindset. Yeah, it was awesome. In that, I just truly believed this time, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good though. I think you need that going in any sort of a show, and it definitely. Like I just saw a few of the photos from the Vicks, but then I put the live stream on for the Arnold Amateurs, and you could see there. Like the last time I think I saw you in person might have been the year before that, but the improvements were very noticeable as well. But you had that look at when you're on stage as well, that real confident that confident look.
Yeah, I don't know how else to put it, but I visualised it and I said it to Tony, and I've said it to quite a few people since, hundreds upon hundreds of times. I can't tell you how many times I lost it. Just every time I was out there on foot, every time I was in the gym, every time I was going to bed, it was just a 24/7 obsession that I just kept seeing the outcome. And you know, do you guys know that movie, The Secrets?
Yeah.
It's a film.
It's a book too, eh?
Yeah, it's a book too. Sorry,
Isn't
I've
that
only
a chick
seen
flick?
the film.
I'm not too sure. Is it a chick flick?
So it was reminded by a friend of mine about 18 months ago. As soon as I stepped off the national stage, and he said, "You know what? You should put a vision board together and really live this thing out. You know, print your pro card." And I thought at the time, "Oh man, that's cheesy as hell." But I sat with it for a day or two, and you know what? I did it, and it was just a constant subconscious reminder. And I told Scotty 6 months later, and he just palmed it off. He was like, "Yeah, all right. Let's just focus on diet compliance, shall we?"
I don't know if Scott's already got something smart ass comment to make mention of. I could see his head stewing something up there.
Yeah. So,
Look, I have to admit, Christian's mindset was amazing coming into it, and I really admired it because I used to always publicly try and portray confidence, and I don't care what my competitors were doing and all that, but really I wanted them to fuck up or injure themselves and not make it to the stage and allow me to come through with an easy victory. But like Christian found out Lucky was not doing the Vicks, he was really upset. Like he was genuinely upset, not just faking it. He was just like, "Oh man, I wanted to go up against the best guy. I thought he was going to be my stiffest competition. He wanted Sadiq and Halusi to come down. Like he was like, oh man, I don't want to win if the sanctions are meaning people aren't going to travel and all this sort of stuff." So he genuinely wanted to be up against the best because he wanted to prove he could be the best. So it was pretty admirable, and it's not contrived in any way. It's literally belief. It's impressive to witness.
Well, I don't think any of the top contenders didn't end up competing at the Arnolds because of the circumstances. So every single top competitor from each state made their way there. It would have been good to see you against Lucky in the overalls at the Vicks, mainly because it would have been good to see both your wheels up on stage next to each other, because you both, like, without a doubt, have the best quads in the country. So that would have been good to see side by side. Yeah, go Gully.
What was the reason Lucky pulled out? I didn't even hear that one.
Scotty, you've got your two
I
cents.
can read you a text.
I don't know the details, but Lucky just basically said he did his own head in.
Self-doubt. Self-doubt.
Self-doubt like that.
Yeah.
He pulled out. I think he was running himself into the ground. He wasn't following Dean's instructions. He was doing way more than he should have. Probably eating way less than he should have. He just pulled out because plagued with self-doubt.
He sent me a photo
it's a real shame because
a week after, and he looked phenomenal.
I'll be honest, would have been under no stress there.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think he would have beaten Christian, but it would have been great to see him, and he definitely would have been in the overalls in that under hundreds. I think at the Arnold.
We didn't even have an overall in Victoria, did we? Did we, Scott? No, we didn't.
You don't have overalls in Victoria because the whole point of the overalls with the Arnold, just to they give out the travel vouchers. Yeah.
See, but Gretch, I don't, and I know you two are promoters, you and Scott. Scott, I still don't agree with that. I still think there should be an overall in Vic just to have that overall.
Me and Scott have had this discussion.
You agree or not?
We agree with you,
agree,
yeah.
Yeah,
we've had this discussion. We had to put up a bit of a fight to have the overalls in every other state, but we got there.
Hey, Christian, with the Victoria show, at that stage, I can't remember. There was no thought of anything being like being locked down or any restrictions at that stage, was there?
No. But you know what? During the show, we were getting wind that Tony was taking calls in between divisions, and things were not great. So we were things were just starting to leak. And 24 hours later, so by Sunday night, I was on Messenger to Scott going, "Holy shit, is this all over?" And he's like, "Don't you dare do anything. It's business as usual until I tell you."
Yeah.
And I just prayed.
So
and
how close was that to the show?
that was Sunday night. So that was literally probably when Sadiq walked off stage as the overall winner in New South Wales. That's when everyone was hearing, "Holy shit, it's over."
Oh, that's right.
Arnold's is cancelled, and I'm receiving messages from people, some friends and acquaintances, going, "Oh man, I feel so sorry for you." And I'm just thinking to myself, "Oh God, I've got to turn this freaking phone off." Because
So mentally, how was that? I mean, because you've come in looking your best ever at that stage by the VIX. So you know you're in the running for a pro card the following week. So that would have been hard to deal with.
It was for about an hour, and then I just thought,
that's good. Yeah,
this is meant to be. I just felt deep in my bones that I don't know, guys. I just hung in there, and Scott said 75%. I think is the number he used. It's 75% going to go through, and I thought that's good enough for me. I'm full steam ahead. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I don't think even in the super heavyweights, there's a couple of. Well, actually, in saying that, did any of the super heavyweights from the VIX end up doing the Arnolds?
No, both Adam and Bruiser
got second. He didn't. Yeah.
Oh, Bruiser. Did Bruiser?
Big Harry was there.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, Bruiser's a real good mate of mine, Christian. We've known each other for years, and he was so stoked to be on stage with you. He kept messaging up. He was so happy to do that.
This is what gets me. I have no clues that these guys look up to me, or no clues. No,
that's good. Yeah, because he was messaging me up and stuff like that. So
he did grab a photo.
He was really happy.
He's good too. He's got a lot of potential. He's still young, isn't he, Mick?
What's that?
He's still relatively young.
I think he's only. Oh, geez, he had his birthday 2 days ago. I think
everyone's young compared to me.
See,
what?
he would be. I'm not even going to take a guess. No, he's not old at all.
I've thrown his train of thought.
So early 20s, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say maybe mid 20s and stuff like that. But he's a
big future.
He's a freak when it comes to training too. He's very, very strong. He trains like a madman. He's he's just Once he gets his thing right, his head right, he'll be spot on. But with that heavyweight at the Arnold Amateurs, I mean that was great too. The super heavies, because there were some good guys there. So you legitimately won that category against some tough guys, which is awesome to see. And we said this to Tony the other week, and I'm sure you guys will agree. That stage at the Amateur Arnold's was unreal. That was brilliant.
Yeah. It was like the most professional setup you could imagine. It's stunning.
Especially under the
I don't know how he works his magic. He's incredible. He's incredible. Like I said to him, I said, "Thank you for making the impossible possible," because I believe he's the only guy in the industry that could do it.
Not that only that he could do it. He's the only guy that I think that would have just been relentless and made sure that he did it, because anyone else would have just pulled a pin right when it was starting to get hard. Because
and thanks to him, I'm now talking to you guys. It's just literally thanks to him.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about when they did call your name out to win that. Did you have a pretty good indication or a pretty good idea that you were going to win that, or like you can act like you did? Like if you knew you were going to win, you can say that you did. Like,
how close was it?
You don't want to say, I thought I was.
From where I was standing, I had no idea. I messaged Scott when I was backstage for an hour leading in, and he didn't get the message. So I was like, shit, I'm just going to back myself like I always have been. But I said to him, hey, there's nothing I could have possibly have done this morning to screw this up, right? Because I was shitting myself. All the guys backstage looked amazing. They did. Fantastic. And, when you're pumping up backstage, you get to see everyone, and you don't, I don't know about you guys, but I don't look at myself as this super heavyweight Christian Caldwell that everyone else sees. I see me as just the dude who has always loved this, and I just see myself as normal, in all honesty. Body dysmorphia, whatever you want to call it. But my point is, I was genuinely concerned. They looked awesome.
What was your thoughts in the sort of watching from the crowd, Scotty? Did you think that he clearly had won it when you were watching the overalls?
Well, I watched it on the webcast because I wasn't going to go there, and I knew Christian had things well and truly under control.
You weren't allowed to go because your wife was about to give birth.
No, it wasn't that. I mean, she was about to pop. She actually gave birth the next day. No, I spoke to Boona in the lead up to the show, and he goes, we're down to 25 people only allowed in there. So we got competitors on the stage and judges, and spectators will just have to wait outside, and we'll have to wait till one lineup comes off before we bring the other lineup in. We factor in all the other officials and cameras and all this sort of stuff. So I thought, I'm not going to go down there and watch it in my car on the web stream. And then they ended up, I don't know, getting more space or something and allowing a few people.
So you didn't make the cut. You didn't get the invite to the party. You just didn't make the cut.
Basically, yeah. Boona said I wasn't allowed to come.
Wow.
So I watched it on the live stream, and the live stream I don't think showed the difference in conditioning to the extent that it was. I think the pictures have since shown that Christian just had a different level of separation and probably made the victory pretty clear if you're there in person. But I got nervous because I thought it was a really, really well-judged class, and they moved it around a lot. Like, Halusi had a couple of poses in the middle, and Sadiq had a fair few poses in the middle. But I was still confident because Christian started in the middle and then finished in the middle. So I thought he was going to get it, but the judges worked him hard and moved him around. So there was a little bit of concern. But I knew once he got through those supers, he was going to take the overall.
Yeah, I think you can arguably say that Sadiq was at his best ever, and so was Mike. So it was a good win. But I agree with you, Scott. My screen's just frozen for a sec. That's better. When you're watching the live cam straight on, every now and then they'd go to the side a bit, so you'd see a side angle of the physiques, and that's when you could actually see how well conditioned they were. And I remember watching Christian at the front when they were doing the front on. I was like, fuck, he looks good. Then they went to the side right over part, and you're like, wow, okay, he's really in great condition. So,
So what's the plan moving forward? Have you guys devised a plan? Obviously, it's a little bit hard now with the circumstances. You can't really set dates for upcoming pro shows or anything like that. But say, for instance, in an imaginary world, if this all wasn't happening, do you guys have a plan of what? Because you did envision winning your pro card, so I'm guessing you already thought which first pro show you were going to do.
I actually didn't think beyond winning the pro card. That was purely my laser focus.
Yeah,
that was it. But now that we've had a few weeks, obviously, when Tony on the spot invited me to the Arnold's 2021, I accepted. So that's the show.
Yeah.
That's the show. So we got 12 months to work towards that,
and it's probably the most realistic given the circumstances, because I don't think we'll be seeing any type of international travel within the next 12 months. So,
Richie, have they closed the borders, international borders?
Especially from Texas. Coming from Texas, we're not letting anyone in from Texas for at least 2 years,
anyway,
mate.
For next year. So, actually, no, I'm going to miss your wedding, Jimmy.
No, we'll get you over. Listen, we're all bodybuilders. They say we can't take shit, we take shit. They say we can't train, we train. You can't get here from America, fuck. You go through Mexico. From Mexico, you go to Canada. We'll sort it out.
I knew you'd have to go to Mexico. I knew that.
Hey, Scott, when's your show booked for?
August 29th, it's booked. And look, we'll probably make a final decision on that show when we know more. Like, if all goes to plan and they start unwinding sanctions on May 11th, the lockdown's been extended till May 11th. If at that point they start unwinding the sanctions and it looks like we're going to be able to have more than 100 people in a room and gyms open up and things like that, then we'll be full steam ahead with that show. If the sanctions start getting pushed out further and further, and if people can't adequately train, or it looks like there's only going to be 50 people in the venue or something like that, we'll look at later dates. And I guess it gets to a certain point of the year, and then you start to think, oh, well, we'll just reboot for next year. So it's all up in the air because no one's ever promoted a show through a pandemic, let alone lived through it. So yeah, who knows?
How are you coping with all this, Scott? I know because we do normally have a similar opinion on things, but you've mocked my recent posts on Facebook lately, talking about I'm starting to be that angry guy. Blaming the world for everything, but I do feel like I'm falling into a little bit of a trap. But do you, how's your outlook been on all of this? Do you think it's a big overreaction? And remember not to make mention of whatever we're speaking about because we don't want to get flagged. But yeah, how do you feel?
Man, we'll never know. And it's out of my control, so I don't worry about it. I'm just that guy. Like, maybe had we done nothing, it would have been okay. We've got a fairly healthy population. Maybe the health system could have coped and then we wouldn't be in this economic crisis. But maybe if we didn't, our hospitals would be collapsing. My parents wouldn't, would be at risk. Everyone's grandparents would be at great risk, and it would be a massive, massive mistake. So it's really hard to say. I know nothing. I know nothing about conspiracy theories. I'm not an epidemiologist. I can't prove this thing is what it says it is. But what's out of my control, I don't worry about. So if you say I'm locked in, so be it. But we'll never know. And when we come out the other side of it, everyone will go, well, now we're in the economic shit. And we never needed to be because it only ended up killing 300 people in the country. And what's the big deal? But, what was the potential alternative? I don't know. 50,000 people dying, 100,000, 500,000. I don't know. And no one does know. And we'll never be able to, compare Australia, non-lockdown, and Australia with lockdown. So it's out of my control, man. I just roll with the punches. I transition as many clients as I can to online. I enjoy the extra time I have with my family. I train in my garage, and life goes on.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty good. I like that.
I wish I shared the same opinion. I tried to for a little while, and then I just got really
too much
angry.
spare time on hands. That's the problem.
It does, yeah. I stayed up till I was telling you boys the other day. I was up till 2 a.m. watching. Last night I was watching people getting wrongfully arrested in America. And it gave me nightmares, and I thought people were raiding my apartment halfway through the night.
Do that if you're in Australia.
Try being in Texas and be the only person with no gun.
Yeah, mate, I would have stocked up big time for now. Big time.
I swear, the old granny next to me's got a shotgun.
But the one thing I want to learn during lockdown is how to kick like Joe Rogan. And you seen those videos, Scott? Because I know you're a UFC fan.
No, I haven't seen. I've seen you, Rogan, do some jiu-jitsu stuff. I haven't seen him do kicking, no.
You will be superly impressed. Superly
impressed. Back to what we were talking about before with the hospitals. Just quietly.
Here we go. Conspiracy.
No.
Fuck.
I was in hospital Saturday night.
Tell them why you were in hospital.
I had a reaction. I got anaphylaxis to nuts.
You got anaphylaxis to nuts. It's a great idea to eat ice cream.
And my missus was eating ice cream. She goes, "Fuck, this is good. Try this." I said, "Okay." I ate it. She looked at me while she's looking at the back of the ice cream going, "You probably shouldn't have eaten that." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
That's a conspiracy in itself. As if she didn't try and kill you.
So
Attempted murder.
So previously I said, that's all you're going to, I know that's how you're going to kill me one day. So I've told her now, once I got home on Sunday, that I think you did try to kill me, but you backed out. So
what's this got to do with
hospitals? when I went to the hospital on Saturday night, emergency, I went to Westmead, which if you know anything about Sydney and Westmead, that emergency department is jammed, right? Out the door. Not one patient. I walked straight through after I got my temperature checked. And I spoke to the nurses. There's not one patient in their special little ward with that thing, right? And my missus, so that's the biggest hospital in Western Sydney, right? Then you go into the city where my missus works, St. Vincent's Hospital. Again, 0 cases.
This is the conspiracies that we're
So-
talking about, Scotty.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna get sick,
Don't say it.
I didn't say it.
Yeah.
I coughed. If you're gonna get sick, go get sick now because you've got plenty of room, plenty of beds.
How is family life, Scotty? So obviously you just had a newborn, two daughters. Has life changed much for you ever since a new addition to the family, or
You come outside,
you
idiot.
mentioned?
That's how life changed.
The new edition came the day that the sanctions sort of started. So I was planning on having a couple of easy weeks at home anyway. I was told my clients I wouldn't be doing face-to-face stuff or actual PT sessions. So nothing really changed for the first couple of weeks. And look, life's a little bit different with a newborn. You know that Gretchy, like they don't have the best sleep patterns. So she keeps us up a little bit at night. And the 2-year-old is full on during the day. So, you know, life's good, man. Like, you can't complain about having kids. Like, it's one of those things where the good far outweighs the bad. You get so much joy from it. So, yeah, life's good, and a little more home time isn't a bad thing either. It means Tanya's a little bit less angry at me because she doesn't cop the total burden. But she's still angry. You know what Tanya's like. She's still an angry woman.
Is she there right now, watching? Because
No,
I actually
she-
got scared.
I've been busy all day. I've been filming exercise tutorials all day. Now I'm talking to you guys, which she thinks is, you know, it's just me having a laugh, which it mostly is. And so she's copping it all. So when I go up there, she'll be extra angry today.
Hey, Christian, just going back to obviously now you're a pro, which is freaking awesome. Have
Say
you
that
anything like? There's a lot of the pros. Their first pro show will be, you know, the New York Pro or the Tampa Pro or something like that as well. Obviously, the Aussies, most of it's the Aussie Arnolds.
Yeah.
Is there anything overseas that kind of
Yeah.
takes your fancy? Like
Brazil.
the New York Pro is a real popular one.
I'd love to I don't know how. I'd have to do all right in Australia, wouldn't I? To get an invite to Brazil for the Arnolds there.
Oh,
Because
okay.
my family's there. I'd love a reason to go back, a bigger reason to go back.
Is that after or before the Aussie?
That's 2 weeks after, isn't it?
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
So,
Well, there's more
you
of a
know,
chance of getting an invite after doing, like you said, doing well with
If
the
I-
Australians. Yeah.
you're okay.
Yeah.
Scotty, let's do it, man.
Scotty, back in the day, you were a very good bodybuilder.
Self-proclaimed.
Back in the day.
No, you were
Thank
good. You were
Jimmy.
good. And
I
you were
feel
very...
like you're setting me up for a really backhanded compliment here. But
No.
Even I feel awkward. I can feel like this is going somewhere.
No.
bad.
And you missed out on your pro card, like, by a placing. Okay.
A few times.
A few times. How jealous are you of Christian?
Oh man, not really jealous at all. Like life's panned out pretty good for me. I've just shifted my goals in other directions, so I'm no longer chasing a pro card, and I'm pretty content with that. And I'm very excited to get the opportunity to work with really, really good athletes. I mean, I've got little coaching goals now, so I want to coach someone to the Olympia stage. I want to coach someone into the first call out of the Arnold Aussie Classic and things like that. So, man, I'm very excited. And the commercial reality is probably going to bring me clients as well, Jimmy. So that's a good thing too.
Very good.
You promote yourself well. I love your little crappy Photoshop posts.
they're
With
brilliant.
they are brilliant. Have you done one with Christian?
Well, actually, as soon as he got the pro card, I drove down and got a picture with him outside the venue.
I was disappointed.
At a safe social distance, but I could probably mock something terrible together.
If you mock something terrible and still take into consideration the social distancing, I think that'll be. So obviously moving forward, you have a year now to prepare for the Arnold Classic, and fucking, we hope that it goes ahead.
Hey guys, did you see that photo of Blessing today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That midsection is tight.
That's what we got to deal with.
Where have you seen that?
That was
page.
sad, not just for him not to come.
I
out.
was
Guys,
so keen to see him v Jake.
Oh yeah.
That was my whole reason to. That's the main thing I wanted to see.
Let's talk
in
about
that
that
pro.
before I go to my question I was going to ask. How do you reckon the pro show would have went? Who would you have placed top? Let's say top 5. Had the pro
Dexter
show gone ahead?
would have been fighting for first or second.
Dexter would have won. Got his 30th.
Anyone
Remy,
else?
Yeah, man, I've even forgotten the lineup. Like,
Bonnet,
yeah, was
Remy.
it?
It was huge.
Dexter.
Yeah, Rami was coming. Dexter was coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bonac was going. Sergio's here.
What did you think of Jake? What did you think of Jake? Seeing Jake there at
I thought he looked
the guest
awesome.
post. Yeah. So how do you reckon he
I,
would have fared
I
in that
actually
pro
forgot
show?
how tall he was. How he's not very tall.
No, he's not tall. I was going to say, when you said how tall he was, I was like,
Christian, how tall are you? How tall are you, Christian?
5'11".
yeah, same.
Maybe 5'10" and a half now after all the squatting I've done.
Just walk around on your tippy toes like Mark, you'll be fine.
Yeah, Mark does it all the time.
So I'm about Josh's height. I talk about Josh because he's been my inspiration for years. Josh Lenardowitz. So
Well, that would have been a very good compliment because Tony on our podcast last week said that you winning your pro card reminded him a lot of what Josh looked like when he won his pro card. So
that blew me away listening to that.
That puts a lot of weight on your shoulders and how much progression you need to make in the next year because he blew up dramatically after winning his pro card.
Well,
And so did Jake.
Yeah, Jake's
did.
done really
So
well.
there might be something in that Australian pro card, Arnold Water.
yeah, in Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
These are all Melbourne guys, eh?
What do you
All
feel?
Melbourne guys.
What do you feel like you need to work on moving forward with? What improvements do you want to make before your next time on stage?
Scott's identified them really acutely, so we're already working on that. And I'll say this now, Scott, awesome.
Yeah, good.
That shoulder stuff.
So what
And
are we working on,
Sounds like a
Scotty?
secret.
upper back,
Back mostly, yeah.
back width and back density.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty clear, isn't it? I mean,
So
look at my physique. It's,
What have you done, Scotty? Have you changed his program? Changed how many times he's training back per week, or what frequency?
Man, look, he's a massive deadlifter, and I think as a result, he's got really powerful erectors and upper traps and things like that. He's got some huge delts and rear delts and things on him as well. So I think just shifting the focus to a little bit more isolation, a little bit more scapular stability work and control, and just backing off the weights and isolating and squeezing and feeling, because it's mostly lats and lower trap, rhomboids, that sort of stuff that he needs. So that's basically, we've shifted the emphasis away from heavy deadlifts to just contracting the target muscles.
Can I chime in there as well? Just because I really feel, talking about mind-muscle connection, it's talked about all the time, but when I was posing for Scott, I'd be able to hit all my shots and feel that contraction really acutely, except when I hit that rear double bi. I just felt nothing.
Where did you feel nothing though? Where, like in your upper back?
Middle back,
Yeah.
middle and upper back, rhomboid region. I'm just like, I can't feel anything. And that to me is a lack of neuro pathways.
Yeah.
And this is what Scott's teaching me with this program. He's got me twice a week working those specifics. And I can tell you guys, it's been 1 week. Yeah, 1 week, week and a half. And I'm sore in those regions now. So 12 months of this, I can't wait.
How detailed are you with your programming, Scotty? So do you spend a little bit more time with clients like Christian than you would your regular client in the gym? And I'm not trying to say that Christian's more important than anyone else, but do you invest a little bit more detail with Christian, knowing that you kind of have to make a difference with his progression?
No, I spend less time with Christian because Christian's got pretty much everything covered. Like the only specifics we've gone into with his training is this back stuff, because I'm not wasting my time sitting through a quad session, because I guarantee you, if I watch Christian train quads, I'll just go, fuck, that's a thing of beauty, like there's nothing I can do to improve that. It'd be the same with his chest work and everything else. So, maybe the chest work we could do some stuff, but really the only great detail I've put in is with the back stuff. And man, look, Christian's a coach himself. He's educated. He's a fantastic bodybuilder. He doesn't need me to hold his hand throughout workouts, that's for sure. So I'm really just happy to suggest things for him and let him try them and play around. He understands his body. He knows what we're trying to achieve, so he'll be able to take it from there.
How old are you, Christian?
40. I turned 40 in September.
Fuck, you are a young-looking 40.
Fuck, you look younger.
Reckon?
Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah, you look
feel-
about 30.
Maybe when you're not 126, mate, you look a little bit older then, but now you look fucking young.
How far do you want to go with it? Are you aiming to get on that Olympia stage one day?
How long is a piece of string? My fire is burning harder, brighter than it ever has. So my hunger is.
You spoke about visualization before. You said you're printing out your own pro card with your name on it. Have you done that with your Olympia jacket? Have you gotten a bit of texture and written Mr. Olympia on the back one of your jackets and walk around the gym with it now? Or
you know what? I might go that far. Who knows? I'm just excited. You know, this whole experience. It's so surreal, and I'm not talking about the shit that's going down now. I'm talking about the whole pro card thing. I'm still in the clouds.
Yeah.
I'm living a dream.
Stay there.
This is amazing.
Stay there for as long as you can, at least until gyms reopen. What as a business perspective now? What are you doing with your new pro status? Have you need to, and we still got to work on your nickname. But are you thinking about bringing out clothing? Are you going to what are you going to do? Because that's
I've got some multimedia. You know, the media guys I work with, Two Visions Agency, Corey Freeman and Curtis.
I don't know them personally.
They've got lots of ideas for me, and they've suggested all that stuff. So who knows? I think what's important is that I just remain true to me and don't try to be someone else. So
I think Scott brought a shirt out once with his picture on it, with your face on it. Was it?
Max's did, yeah, and there's still about 3,000 in the Max's warehouse if anyone wants to grab some. They're going very cheap.
we gotta sell those in the Muscle Asylum page. I reckon you can get rid of them.
I think they use them as like the packing around the tubs of protein, so they don't rattle around in there now.
They keep getting refunded. They give them free with every order, and
they send them back.
Sent back for some reason. Right? Max's can't figure it out. Looks like you've made a good team. Did you work with a coach prior to Scott? And you don't have to mention who they were, but did you always just work on your own?
I mostly on my own. I had a mentor, Lockie Maxwell Wright. Do you guys know that name?
Yeah.
He's still a mentor of mine, a really good friend.
Yeah, you would have been around. You would have seen him on a national stage. You've probably been competing on stage with him, I'd say. You're really good at under 100, wasn't he? Or was he under 90?
Oh, I think he was under 100 most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He lost out to beat Meshberger for the pro card in 2009 or 6. That was his era. You know, Charlie Duca. Yeah, he competed against Charlie Duca all the time, and guys like that. So, anyway, yeah, mentor of mine. Where was I going with this? I've lost.
We were talking about it. Have you worked with any other coaches? But no, you were saying.
I just had his help in the past, and he got me really, as far as I got. But then I felt that I needed, to just go a little bit further. And he was a busy man anyway, working full time and all that. So I didn't want to bother him.
Are you going to try and expand your coaching business yourself, Christian? Or
yeah, definitely. That's a passion of mine. I'm just working with general population people mostly for recomp, and I'm breaking more and more into the competitive scene with some athletes, and I've got some really talented girls and guys on board. So yeah, that's where I'd like to take it eventually.
How does that work, Scotty? And like, I don't know. There's that awkward situation where if a bodybuilder came to you, Christian, and wanted guidance because of how well you looked at your last comp, would you take them on board yourself, or would you pass them on to Scotty?
In some cases, I've actually handballed straight over to Scotty.
Yeah.
Or I think I've even suggested Adam Onaki to someone else. So yeah, just depends on whether or not I feel I can, I've got knowledge. I've got lots of knowledge, but sometimes I just feel like maybe they're best to go with the guy up another notch, because Scotty's my superior here, so I'm learning as we go.
How do you feel about that, Scotty, with him handballing a client to someone else?
Man, I think he's probably underestimating his abilities. Like, I'm pretty sure Christian could coach almost anyone right up to the highest level. Like most of what we do is a collaboration more than a dictatorship. Every now and then I'll do a little dictating, but it's pretty rare. So look, yeah, I mean, Christian's a great coach, and he's had a fair bit of success in a very short period of time. So I think he'll progress, and post competitive career, if he chooses to be, he'll be one of the best coaches in the business for sure.
Yeah, I could just kind of get the feel that you'd be one of those coaches that would go into great length of detail with your clients and kind of would. Yeah.
Sort of try to develop a really close relationship with each of them, like a little sense of community with my little team. So I'm very selective now with who I take on board, actually. So it's not just anyone.
Well, you're a pro now. You can do that.
Got to resonate with them,
Yeah.
Has to gel. So, yeah. It's exciting. It's exciting, guys. I'm really happy.
We'll wrap it up. I just want to say thank you for both for coming on. Scotty, once again, congratulations on the newborn, plus bringing Christian to his very best to win his pro card.
It was a good couple of days, yeah.
Yeah.
I should.
Besides
the
entire industry,
was my favourite.
Besides the entire industry coming down, and so many people becoming unemployed. But yeah, it was a good couple of days. Can you let everyone know if they wanted to get in contact with you regarding coaching or anything else that you do? How would they get in contact with you?
Just hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. It's more Instagram these days, it seems. So at Scott Goble Bodybuilder. Happy to hear from you. Have a few coaching slots open. Coaching business has taken a little bit of a hit, like everyone else. But yeah, happy to talk to anyone, whether they just want to get some ideas for now and look at working together when things open back up. Happy to speak to anyone.
Yeah, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the Country Classic goes ahead, and yeah, good luck with that. Planning for that if it does go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Great said he'd do that show that goes ahead. So.
Yeah, you know what? Look, I don't think gyms are going to open until July, so yeah, count me in.
What about you two? Jimmy, what about you? When are you going to next compete?
Who's you?
Mark is talking to you.
Talking to me? I was actually. I shit you not. I was actually planning on doing the Amateur Olympia in Vegas this year.
Yeah, it was.
I heard.
Had a coach lined up and was ready to rock and roll and started my prep. And then as soon as gyms shut down, I started eating pizza. So I've got that same pro mentality that you do.
His vision board is that Uber Eats menu.
I started Uber Eats. That has been my downfall. I have never ever used Uber Eats up until about 2 weeks ago, and I've used it at least 15 times since. Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
Well, they trapped me with the first one because they gave me a massive discount, and I was like, "This is cheaper than actually driving there." And then, I get the same delivery guy every time we hang out. But yeah, no. Well, I don't get to see many people these days, so I just kind of any type of interaction with another adult is good.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun now.
Look, I was planning on doing it, but obviously not going to happen, and it won't be happening for a while. Christian, if anyone wanted to get in contact with you regarding coaching or anything else, how would the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Info at christiancaldwellrecomp.com.au is the official email. That's a really long one. Otherwise, just Instagram, direct message, Facebook, the typical ways. Yes.
Yep. If you
I do have a few openings as well. Although having said that, my coaching retainership has been good. Retention. It's been pretty good. It's just the PT that's dropped right off, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a few spots. Definitely can help a few people out.
Cool. If you want to get in contact for Gally for any reason, just I'll post his number down below. And Jimmy just likes to get in contacted via Wicker. But besides that, thank you all for coming on.
Cheers, guys.
And congrats again. Thanks for coming on. I was supposed to do this at the beginning. I'm trying to make this all professional, and I'm going to do this whole subscribe down here thing for the podcast. And
there it is.
Yeah, no, it popped up. Yeah, everyone point down to the bottom.
It's not professional
corner.
at all.
Just point down to the fucking corner.
The other way.
The other way. Yeah, that way. No, this way. This way.
That way?
Yeah.
That one.
Oh, fuck you.
Where Scott's head is.
I'll just do heaps of different icons.
You know, he was practicing that before, Scotty, right? And I'm watching him from behind here, and he's stroking your fucking cheek. I'm like, what the fuck's he doing? Now it makes sense.
I just want to quickly try something. I want to blur my background and see if Jimmy disappears. Damn it, he's still there.
Almost.
All right, thanks for coming on, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Catch us all later.
See you, mate.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thanks, guys.